22 seconds. That's how long it took. October 9th, 2024, 2:30 in the morning. 555 drones hovering over the Las Vegas Strip, fireworks lighting up the desert sky, and then, boom, 2,200 pounds of explosives, two 23-story towers, 67 years of history gone. The Tropicana didn't fade away, it didn't get renovated, it got erased in the time it takes you to tie your shoes. And here's what nobody's talking about. That was just the beginning. Las Vegas is eating itself alive right now, and the buffet of destruction, it's all you can eat. I'm going to show you 10 attractions that are vanishing from Vegas in 2025. Some are already gone, some are closing their doors as you watch this, and some, you've got maybe months left to see them. By the time this video ends, you're going to want to book a flight, because that thing you've been meaning to see, that restaurant you keep saying you'll try next time might not exist. Let's start the countdown. Number 10. You know that open-air shopping area across from the Bellagio fountains? The one with the little souvenir shops and the guys trying to sell you helicopter tours? Hawaiian Marketplace. If you walked the strip anytime in the last 20 years, you passed it. Maybe you ducked in to grab a cheap t-shirt. Maybe you bought one of those terrible airbrushed hats. Maybe you just used it as a shortcut to avoid the crowds. Well, next time you visit, it won't be there. Construction walls are already up, the demolition permits are filed, and what's replacing it? A shopping plaza called the BLVD. Yeah, real creative, but here's the part that tells you everything you need to know about where Vegas is heading. The anchor tenant, the big attraction they're building this whole development around, the world's largest In-N-Out burger. That's it. That's the vision. That's the future of the Las Vegas Strip, a fast food restaurant. Look, I love a double-double as much as anybody, but there's something deeply depressing about watching a quirky little marketplace get bulldozed so tourists can eat the same burger they get at home. Hawaiian Marketplace wasn't fancy. It wasn't Instagram worthy, but it was weird. It was Vegas weird, and Vegas weird is becoming an endangered species. But honestly, that's just retail. That's just shopping. The next one on our list, it's been serving Vegas visitors since 1957. It's one of the last places on the Strip where a regular person can sit down and feel like they belong. And its replacement doesn't even have funding yet. Number 9, Casino Royale. Now, if you've never been to Casino Royale, let me paint you a picture. It's squeezed between the Venetian and Harrah's like a middle child who refuses to move out. It's small. It's loud. The carpet has seen things. The cocktail waitresses have seen more. And it is glorious. This is the place where you could walk in with $40 and feel like a high roller. $3 blackjack tables, dollar beers, the kind of craps game where the guy next to you is wearing cargo shorts and hasn't slept since Tuesday. Casino Royale wasn't built for whales. It was built for us, the people who save up all year for one Vegas trip, the people who actually care about the odds, the people who remember when gambling was supposed to be fun and not a financial extraction scheme designed by algorithms. And now, the FAA just approved permits for a 700-foot tower to replace it. 700 feet. That's taller than the Stratosphere observation deck. That's almost as tall as the Strat itself, which means Casino Royale isn't getting renovated. It's getting annihilated, scraped off the earth and replaced with another gleaming monument to whatever private equity firm decided that what Vegas really needs is more luxury suites nobody can afford. The $3 blackjack tables? Gone. The dollar beers? A memory. The last cheap seat at the poker table? Folding forever. I talked to a guy on Reddit who said he's been going to Casino Royale every year for 15 years. Same trip, same table, same dealers who know his name. He wrote, and I'm quoting here, "It's like finding out your favorite dive bar is becoming a Whole Foods. Yeah, technically it's an upgrade, but it's not my bar anymore." And that's the thing about Vegas right now. Every upgrade erases something. Every improvement deletes a memory. Every shiny new tower casts a shadow over the places that made you fall in love with this city in the first place. Casino Royale was built for regular people. It was proof that you didn't need a black card to have a good time in Vegas. But the next entries on our list, they weren't just casinos. They were entire ecosystems. Complete worlds with their own employees, their own regulars, their own decades of history. And when they closed. Hundreds of workers didn't just lose jobs, they lost careers, they lost identities, and some of them, they're still waiting by the phone, hoping for a call that's never coming. 40 miles south of Las Vegas, right on the California border, there's a place most tourists drive past at 80 miles an hour without a second thought. 3 casino towers rising out of the desert like a mirage. A roller coaster that loops over the state line. A sign that says, "Welcome to Nevada," right next to a gas station selling $5 burritos. This is Prim, or at least, this was Prim. Number 8, the Prim Ghost Town. I want you to imagine something. You're driving from LA to Vegas. It's late. You're tired. The Mojave Desert is pitch black, except for your headlights and the glow on the horizon. And then you see it. 3 casino resorts lit up like Christmas. Buffalo Bill's with its massive roller coaster silhouette against the stars. Whiskey Pete's with that old western facade. Prim Valley Resort gleaming like an oasis. You pull off. You stretch your legs. You throw $20 in a slot machine just to wake yourself up. Maybe you grab a steak. Maybe you spend the night and finish the drive tomorrow. That experience, that ritual that thousands of road trippers shared for decades, it's over. Whiskey Pete's closed in December 2024. Not temporarily, not for renovations. The doors are locked, the lights are off. The parking lot is empty except for tumbleweeds and broken glass. Buffalo Bill's? It only opens now for concert weekends. A handful of special events scattered throughout the year. The rest of the time, 90% of the year, it sits there, dark, hollow, a skeleton of what it used to be. The roller coaster doesn't run anymore. The buffet is stripped bare. The slot machines are covered in plastic sheets like furniture in a haunted house. I found a TikTok from a guy who drove through Prim last month. He pulled into the Buffalo Bills parking lot just to look around, and he said, I'm paraphrasing here, "It feels like the apocalypse happened and nobody told us." Prim used to employ hundreds of people, dealers, housekeepers, cooks, security guards, people who commuted from Vegas or lived in those little desert towns nearby. Some of them showed up to work one morning and found the doors chained shut. No warning, no severance meeting, just a piece of paper taped to the glass. "We regret to inform you." That's it. That's how you find out your career is over. A piece of paper on a locked door in the middle of the desert. The company that owns these properties, Affinity Gaming, they blamed declining tourism. They blamed changing travel patterns. They blamed everything except the decisions they made. And now Prim sits there, a ghost town on the interstate. A warning sign for everyone driving into Vegas. This is what happens when the numbers don't work anymore. This is what happens when you're not on the strip. This is what happens when nobody's watching. Prim was the canary in the coal mine, the first domino to fall, the proof that Vegas isn't immune to decay. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. The virus didn't stay in Prim, it spread. It crawled 40 miles north into the city itself, into casinos that locals had called home for decades, into properties that weren't on the tourist maps but meant everything to the people who lived here. And what happened to those places? It's even worse. Number 7, Station Casinos mass graves. If you've only ever visited the Strip, you might not know Station Casinos. They're not for tourists, they're for locals, the people who actually live in Las Vegas and want to gamble without fighting through crowds of bachelorette parties. Station Casinos built an empire on that idea. Neighborhood joints with good food and loose slots. Places where the dealers knew your name, where the bartender remembered your drink, where you could watch your kids' Little League game in the morning and play. Poker with your buddies at night. Texas Station, Fiesta Rancho, Fiesta Henderson, Eastside Cannery, 4 casinos, exposed to the desert sun for years now, exposed to vandals, exposed to decay, and not a single one of them has reopened. Here's what happened. March 2020. The governor orders all Nevada casinos to close because of COVID. Every property in the state goes dark. Everyone assumes it's temporary. A few weeks, maybe a couple months. The strip casinos came back. The big names figured it out, but Station Casinos looked at these 4 properties and made a decision. They weren't worth saving. Texas Station in North Las Vegas, closed since March 2020. The parking garage is crumbling. The sign is faded. Weeds are growing through cracks in the concrete. Fiesta Rancho, same story. 5 years of sitting empty. 5 years of employees waiting for a callback that never came. Fiesta Henderson, they told workers they'd reopen when conditions improved. Conditions never improved. Or at least, that's what they claimed. Eastside Cannery, that one's particularly brutal. It's near the Boulder Highway, working class neighborhood. Lots of retirees on fixed incomes who use that casino as their social hub. They didn't just gamble there. They ate breakfast there. They celebrated birthdays there. They met their friends there every Tuesday for penny slots and gossip. And now it's slated for demolition. Not renovation, not reopening, demolition. The company says they're planning something new for these sites. Future development. They've been saying that for 5 years. Nothing has broken ground. Nothing has been announced. Nothing but weeds and decay and broken promises. I found a post on Reddit from a former dealer at Texas Station. And this one hit me hard. She wrote, "I kept my uniform in my closet for 2 years, pressed and ready, because they told us we'd be coming back. Every few months there'd be a rumor, next quarter, next year, after the renovation. I finally donated it to Goodwill last spring. That was the day I stopped believing. 2 years? She kept her uniform ready for 2 years, waiting by the phone, checking her email every morning, hoping. That's not just unemployment, that's psychological torture. That's a company stringing people along because it's cheaper than telling the truth." And here's what makes it worse. Station Casinos isn't broke. They're not struggling. Red Rock Resorts, their parent company, is doing fine. Stock price is healthy. Executives are getting bonuses. They just decided these 4 casinos weren't profitable enough. The buildings weren't worth the repair costs. The neighborhoods weren't wealthy enough to justify the investment. So they let them rot. Wild Wild West, that was another one. Little slots only casino near the Strip. Not glamorous, not famous, just a reliable little joint where locals could grab cheap drinks and play video poker. September 2023. Closed forever. Now it's scheduled to be demolished to make room for, and I love this phrase they use, a larger property. A larger property. Translation, something more expensive. Something with higher minimums. Something that isn't built for the people who actually live in the city. 5 casinos, thousands of jobs, exposed to the elements for years, and every single one of them, a broken promise, a locked door, a uniform hanging in someone's closet collecting dust. Those were the casinos tourists never saw, the places that don't make the travel blogs or the Instagram feeds, the properties that mattered to real people living real lives in this city. But the next 3 entries on our list, you've definitely been to these. You've taken photos in front of them. You've dragged your family there on vacation. You've made memories that you thought would last forever. And when they vanished from the Strip, they took a piece of old Vegas with them, a piece that's never coming back. I need you to think back to your first Vegas trip, not the gambling, not the shows, not the clubs, the buffet. That moment when you walked through those doors and saw it. Mountains of shrimp on ice, prime rib carved to order, crab legs piled higher than your head, dessert stations that looked like Willy Wonka lost his mind. All you can eat. 4 words that defined the Vegas experience for half a century. Your eyes got wide, your belt got loose, and for 1 glorious hour, you ate like royalty. That Vegas, that buffet Vegas, it's dying. Number 6, the death of the Las Vegas buffet. Here's a number that should make you sick. Before COVID, there were 18 buffets on the Las Vegas Strip alone. 18. You could eat your way from Mandalay Bay to the Stratosphere and never repeat a meal. The Rio had its famous Carnival World buffet. Caesars had the legendary Bacchanal. Paris had that charming little French village setup. The Bellagio had stations that felt like 5-star restaurants crammed into one room. And then COVID happened. The casinos closed. The buffets shut down, and when Vegas reopened, the bean counters made a decision. Most of those buffets, they weren't coming back. Today, right now, as you watch this video, there are only 8 buffets left on the entire Las Vegas Strip. 8 out of 18, less than half, and they keep disappearing. March 2025. The Luxor Buffet served its last plate of lukewarm scrambled eggs and closed forever. $32 for all you can eat at that creepy, beautiful pyramid, gone gone. The Westgate Fresh Buffet, permanently closed. Doors locked, equipment sold off. The Golden Nugget Buffet downtown never came back after COVID. 5 years now, the space just sits there empty. Every few months, another one falls. Another temporarily closed sign becomes permanent. Another buffet gets converted into a food hall or a sports bar or just nothing. And here's what the casino executives will tell you. They'll say buffets are loss leaders. They'll say the economics don't work anymore. They'll say consumer preferences have changed. You know what that really means? It means they can make more money selling you a $15 hamburger than letting you gorge yourself for 40 bucks. It means the bean counters looked at the spreadsheets and decided your memories aren't profitable enough. It means that thing you looked forward to all year, that ritual that 3 generations of your family shared, that moment when grandpa loaded his plate with enough shrimp to feed a small village. It doesn't pencil out. I found a comment on a Vegas travel forum that broke my heart. This guy wrote, and I'm reading it exactly as he posted it. Me and my wife have been going to Vegas every December for our anniversary for 15 years. We always hit the buffets. That was our thing. Now that most of them are closed, we decided not to go back anymore. Without the buffets, what's the point? 15 years, same trip, same tradition, same excitement about stuffing themselves stupid in the desert, and now they're just not going. That's not one couple. That's thousands of couples, tens of thousands, people who built their entire Vegas experience around that all-you-can-eat promise. And the casinos don't care, because those people weren't spending enough at the tables. They weren't booking the premium suites. They weren't the right kind of customer. The buffet used to be the great equalizer, billionaires and bus tourists eating the same crab legs, high rollers and penny slot players sharing the same carving station. Everyone was equal at the buffet. Everyone got to feel like a king for an hour, but equality doesn't maximize shareholder value, so the buffets have to die. 8 left, and counting down. The Bacchanal at Caesars is still there, for now. The Bellagio buffet is hanging on, for now. But there's a rumor every few months that another one is closing. The countdown never stops. So if there's a buffet you've been meaning to try, if there's a pile of crab legs with your name on it, if you've been telling yourself you'll do it next trip, book the flight, make the reservation, go now, because next trip, that buffet might be a Shake Shack. Buffets were the great equalizer, the democratization of gluttony, the one place where your wallet didn't determine your worth. But the next attraction we lost, it wasn't about food, it wasn't about value, it was about magic, literal magic, white tigers and dolphins, and a legacy built by 2 men who changed Las Vegas forever. And when it closed, families who'd been coming back for generations showed up to find nothing but an empty building and a locked gate. Number 5, Siegfried and Roy's Secret Garden and Dolphin Habitat, November 2022. A memo went out to Mirage employees. Short, corporate, cold. The Secret Garden and Dolphin Habitat will be permanently closing. No fanfare, no final weekend, no chance to say goodbye, just closed. If you're under 30, you might not fully understand what Siegfried and Roy meant to Las Vegas, but let me try to explain. Before Cirque du Soleil, before the mega nightclubs, before Vegas became a food destination, there were 2 German magicians with white tigers and matching mullets, and they were everything. Siegfried and Roy performed at the Mirage for 14 years. 14 years of sold-out shows. 14 years of making massive cats appear and disappear on stage. 14 years of pure Vegas spectacle. They didn't just have a show, they had a kingdom. The Secret Garden was their sanctuary. White tigers, white lions, leopards, an Asian elephant, animals that most people only saw in zoos, roaming freely in the middle of the Las Vegas Strip. And then there was the Dolphin Habitat, 2,500 feet of pools, Atlantic bottlenose dolphins playing and swimming and doing tricks for crowds of mesmerized kids. Not a concrete SeaWorld tank. A genuine habitat designed for the animals' well-being. I talked to people who went there every single trip. Every year, same dolphins, same trainers. They'd press their faces against the glass and watch these beautiful creatures glide through the water. Kids who first visited in 1990 brought their own kids in 2010. 3 generations of families making the same pilgrimage, and then the memo came. Hard Rock International bought the Mirage in December 2022, $1 billion, and almost immediately, the animals had to go. The official statement said the property was transitioning. The official statement said they were exploring options for the animals. The official statement was corporate garbage designed to say nothing. The real statement? Hard Rock wanted the space. The dolphins didn't fit the brand. The tigers weren't generating enough revenue per square foot. Siegfried died in January 2021. Roy died in May 2020. COVID took Roy. Pancreatic cancer took Siegfried. They never saw their sanctuary close. Maybe that's a mercy, but the families who loved that place, they saw it. Melissa Kravitz is a Vegas local. Her parents worked at the Mirage when it first opened in 1989. She grew up visiting those dolphins. She brought her own children to see them, and she told a reporter, "We used to bring our kids to see the dolphins. Now there's nothing. Now there's nothing." 4 words that summarize everything wrong with modern Las Vegas. The animals were relocated, the habitat was dismantled, the secret garden that Siegfried and Roy built with their own hands. The legacy they left behind after that tiger attack ended their performing careers. The one piece of their magic that remained. Erased, demolished, converted into square footage for whatever Hard Rock has planned. I don't know where the dolphins are now. I don't know if they're okay. I don't know if they miss the tourists pressing their faces against the glass. Probably not. They're dolphins. They don't think like that. But I think about the kids who will never get to see them, the families who will never make that memory, the magic that existed in the middle of the desert, gone because it didn't pencil out on a spreadsheet. The dolphins were just the beginning, the first casualties of the Mirage transition, the warm-up act for what came next. Because what happened next at the Mirage? It ended an 18-year love affair, a show that brought 12 million people through its doors, a collaboration between the world's most famous circus company and the world's most legendary band. The surviving Beatles flew in to celebrate it. Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, they posed for photos, they gave their blessing, and when it closed, they couldn't save it. Nobody could. July 7th, 2024, Ringo Starr's 84th birthday. Somewhere in Beverly Hills, the last living drummer of the most important band in human history was celebrating with his family. Cake, candles, peace signs, the whole thing. And 270 miles away in Las Vegas, the show he helped create was taking its final breath. Number 4, The Beatles Love by Cirque du Soleil. I need you to understand something about this show. This wasn't a tribute act. This wasn't some casino floor performance with guys in wigs singing Hey Jude. This wasn't a cover band with a light show. This was the only live theatrical production in the world that had permission to use the Beatles' actual music catalog, the real recordings, the original masters, 130 songs from the Abbey Road archives remixed and reimagined by George Martin himself. The same George Martin who produced every Beatles album that mattered. When this show opened in 2006, Paul McCartney was there, Ringo Starr was there, Yoko Ono was there, Olivia Harrison was there, the surviving Beatles and the widows of the fallen ones, all standing together on the red carpet. That's how important this was. The show was born from a friendship. George Harrison and Guy Laliberté, the founder of Cirque du Soleil, they were close. They dreamed up this idea together, a circus spectacle set to Beatles music, acrobatics, and aerial acts and dance, all woven through the soundtrack of the 60s. George Harrison died in 2001. He never saw the show open, but his vision, his dream, it lived on that stage for 18 years. 11.8 million people saw the Beatles Love. Let that number sink in. Nearly 12 million human beings walked into that theater at the Mirage and experienced something that doesn't exist anywhere else on Earth. 60 performers flying through the air during A Day in the Life, trampolines and roller skates during Help. A heartbreaking sequence where a young boy representing John Lennon watches his mother die. And at the end, a clock on stage winds backward and stops at exactly 10 minutes before 10, the exact time John Lennon was pronounced dead in New York City. That's not entertainment, that's art, that's sacred. And on July 7th, 2024, it ended. Not because ticket sales were bad, not because the show had run its course, not because the surviving Beatles wanted to move on. It ended because Hard Rock International needed the building. Here's what happened. When Hard Rock bought the Mirage in 2022, the Beatles Love had a contract that was supposed to run through the end of 2024, maybe longer. The show was a Vegas institution. It wasn't going going anywhere. Then in April 2024, 90 days before closing night, Cirque got the call. Hard Rock was accelerating the renovation timeline. They needed the theater. They needed the space. The show had to close by July 7th. 90 days notice, 18 years of history, 12 million guests, 2 Grammy Awards, 90 days. Stéphane Lefebvre is the CEO of Cirque du Soleil, and he told the Las Vegas Review-Journal something that stuck with me. He said, "This wasn't our decision." 4 words. This wasn't our decision. Not we're excited for the next chapter. Not all good things must come to an end. Not any of the corporate nonsense you usually hear when shows close. This wasn't our decision. They didn't want to leave. They were pushed out. 230 cast and crew members lost their jobs. Performers who had been with the show since opening night in 2006. 18 years with the same company. 18 years of muscle memory and backstage friendships and knowing exactly where to stand when the confetti drops during All You Need Is Love. Gone, because Hard Rock needed to start demolition. The final performance was Sunday, July 7th, invitation only. VIPs and cast members and longtime supporters packed into that custom-built theater one last time. Cirque CEO Lefebvre took the stage before the show. He thanked the audience. He thanked the performers. He thanked George Martin for the music, and then the lights went down, and the isolated harmonies of the Beatles singing Because filled the room. That eerie, beautiful opening that sounds like angels whispering. For 90 minutes, the cast performed their hearts out. Every flip, every spin, every perfectly synchronized moment they'd rehearsed 10,000 times. And then came the finale. All You Need Is Love. The confetti cannons fired, red paper hearts showering from the ceiling, 13.5 tons of confetti over 18 years. And this was the last of it. The performers walked through the audience, peace signs raised, singing along with that optimistic anthem, the same ending they'd done 7,813 times before, but this time, the tears were real. Cast members were openly weeping on stage. Audience members were sobbing in their seats. 18 years of love, actual love, pouring out of that room. Paul McCartney wasn't there. He'd sent a video message that played during a cast meeting the day before. His last visit to the theater was a random drop-in back in September 2023 when he was in town to see U2 at the Sphere. Ringo Starr caught the show in May during his residency at the Venetian. But on July 7th, on his actual birthday, he was in Beverly Hills. The surviving Beatles said goodbye long before the final curtain. And here's the part that really hurts. There's no reboot, no tour, no revival. Officials from Cirque and Apple Corps, the Beatles' parent company, they've confirmed it. There will be no future partnership. The show will not be recreated somewhere else. It won't travel the world like other Cirque productions. The Beatles' love is gone forever. All that choreography, all those costumes, all that magic, it exists now only in the memories of the people who were lucky enough to see it. I found a review from someone who saw the show 15 times, 15 separate trips to Vegas just to sit in that theater. And she wrote, "I always thought I'd bring my grandchildren someday. I thought it would be there forever. Some things should be permanent. Some things should be permanent. But nothing in Vegas is permanent anymore. Love was supposed to run through 2024. Hard Rock showed up and gave them 90 days notice. And Cirque, one of the most powerful entertainment companies on earth, couldn't do anything about it. That's how much power these corporations have now. They can end 18 years of magic with a phone call, but that wasn't even the cruelest cut, because outside the theater, while the cast was rehearsing their final bows, the construction crews were already gathering jackhammers, cranes, wrecking balls. They were coming for something that had defined the Las Vegas Strip for 35 years, something that stopped traffic every single night, something that made strangers stand shoulder to shoulder on a crowded sidewalk and stare in wonder, and this time, there was no petition that could save it. Number 3, the Mirage volcano. Close your eyes for a second. I know you're watching a video, but just close them. Picture this. It's 9 p.m. on a Tuesday night. You're walking the strip. Your feet hurt. You've lost $60 at blackjack. You're wondering if maybe you should have gone to Cancun instead. And then you hear it. A rumble. Deep. Primal. Like the earth itself is waking up. You look across Las Vegas Boulevard and there it is, a 54-foot mountain of rock and water. Palm trees swaying, mist rising, the air suddenly thick with heat and anticipation, and then, boom, fire erupting 100 feet into the air. Real fire. You can feel the heat on your face from across the street. The water in the lagoon churning and glowing orange. Drums pounding through speakers hidden in the landscaping. A soundtrack composed by Mickey Hart of the Grateful Dead. For 4 minutes, you forget about your losses. You forget about your aching feet. You forget about everything except this impossible, beautiful spectacle happening right in front of you, free, every hour, every single night. That was the Mirage volcano, and for 35 years, it was the heartbeat of Las Vegas. Steve Wynn opened the Mirage in December 1989, and from day one, that volcano was the hook. The thing that made people stop, the reason tourists planted themselves on that sidewalk and refused to move. Before the volcano, Vegas was neon signs and parking lots. After the volcano, Vegas was spectacle. The volcano proved you could build something magical and give it away for free, and people would come from all over the world just to see it. The Bellagio fountains, they exist because the volcano worked. Every free attraction on the Strip owes a debt to that erupting mountain of fire. But on July 17th, 2024, the volcano erupted for the last time. Hundreds of people gathered on the sidewalk that night. Locals who'd watched it thousands of times. Tourists who'd flown in specifically for the closing. Families with crying children. Elderly couples holding hands. Joe Lupo is the president of the Mirage, and he asked the crowd a question before that final eruption. He said, "What would the Mirage be without one last volcano eruption?" And then he pushed the button. The fire rose. The drums pounded. The crowd cheered and cried and held up their phones to capture something they'd never see again. 4 minutes, and then silence. The volcano went dark. The flames died. The water settled into stillness. And that was it. The next morning, literally the next morning, Jim Allen, the head of Hard Rock International, told reporters that demolition would start tomorrow. He wasn't exaggerating. By August, the jackhammers were out. The cranes were positioning. Piece by piece, they started tearing that volcano apart. I found photos from August 22nd, 2024. The iconic rockwork, gone. The palm trees, removed. The lagoon, drained and filled with rubble. 35 years of magic reduced to a construction site in a matter of weeks. 11,000 people signed a change.org petition to save the volcano. 11,000 signatures from people all over the world begging Hard Rock to find another way. They didn't even respond, because here's what's going where the volcano stood. A 700-foot guitar-shaped hotel tower, glass and steel reaching into the sky. Modern, sleek, Instagrammable, and utterly soulless. I'm sure it'll be impressive. I'm sure influencers will pose in front of it. I'm sure it'll make Hard Rock a lot of money, but it won't stop traffic. It won't make strangers stand together and wonder. It won't give a tired tourist a reason to believe in magic. Jessica Hawk is a Vegas local. Her mother worked at the Mirage when it first opened in 1989. She grew up with that volcano. It was part of her childhood, part of her identity, and she told a reporter on closing night, the atrium, the smell, all the key pieces that make the Mirage, they're going to go away. The smell. She mentioned the smell. If you've ever walked through the Mirage, you know what she's talking about. That faint pina colada scent they pumped through the ventilation system. That tropical sweetness that hit you the moment you stepped inside. That smell is gone now, too. The atrium is gutted. The palm trees are removed. The aquarium behind the check-in desk. The one with the sharks and the exotic fish. Drained and dismantled. Everything that made the Mirage, erased. The volcano was just the symbol. The visible landmark that everyone recognized, but it represented something bigger. It represented the idea that Vegas could give you something beautiful for free. That spectacle didn't have to come with a cover charge. That wonder was worth more than profit. Hard Rock doesn't believe that. The New Vegas doesn't believe that. The New Vegas believes in extraction, in optimization, in squeezing every possible dollar out of every possible square foot. And volcanoes don't optimize. So the volcano had to die. Our top two entries aren't just attractions. They're not just experiences you can cross off a bucket list. They're the two most historic casino implosions in Las Vegas history. Buildings that defined eras. Properties that shaped the city's identity. One of them erased the last mob-built property on the Strip, the final connection to Vegas's dangerous, glamorous past. And the other, it ended the mega resort revolution that Steve Wynn started. The era that built modern Las Vegas. Both of them are gone now, reduced to rubble and memory and grainy iPhone iPhone footage. And what's replacing them? Nobody really knows for sure. October 9th, 2024, 2:30 in the morning. The Strip is never quiet. You know that. There's always someone stumbling out of a club, always a taxi honking, always the hum of a city that refuses to sleep. But that night, people stopped. They gathered on balconies at the MGM Grand. They pressed against windows at New York, New York. They stood in hushed clusters on closed-off streets, held back by Metro police barricades. And they watched the sky. 555 drones lifted off, synchronized, silent, forming shapes against the black desert night. The Tropicana logo, the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign, a tribute to 67 years of history written in light. Then came the fireworks, Grucci, the best in the business, explosions of color cascading over the skeleton of a building that had hosted Frank Sinatra and mobsters and honeymooners and degenerates for nearly 7 decades. And then silence, a pause that lasted maybe 3 seconds, but felt like forever. And then the boom. Number 2, Tropicana, Las Vegas, 2,200 pounds of explosives, strategically placed in over 1,300 boreholes, 22,000 feet of detonating cord connecting it all like the nervous system of a dying giant. The Paradise Tower went first, 23 stories of steel frame. The charges fired and the building folded. There's no other word for it. It folded in on itself like a house of cards in slow motion. 4 seconds later, the club tower followed. Concrete this time. A different kind of collapse. Heavier, more violent. Dust erupting in massive clouds that rolled across Las Vegas Boulevard and temporarily swallowed the New York skyline. 22 seconds, start to finish. And then, rubble. Just rubble. Where a casino had stood since Eisenhower was president. The Tropicana opened on April 4th, 1957. Let me put that in perspective. Elvis hadn't recorded Jailhouse Rock yet. Alaska wasn't a state. The Vietnam War was a decade away. The Beatles were teenagers in Liverpool who hadn't met each other. That's how old the Tropicana was. And it wasn't just old, it was connected to everything dark and glamorous about Las Vegas history. Frank Costello, you know that name? He was one of the most powerful mob bosses in America. And weeks after the Tropicana opened, someone shot him in the head in New York City. He survived. But when police searched his coat pocket, they found a piece of paper. And on that paper was the Tropicana's exact earnings figure, to the dollar, written in Costello's own handwriting. That's how the FBI discovered the mob's stake in the casino, a bullet and a slip of paper. By the 1970s, federal investigators had connected the Tropicana to a massive skimming operation, Kansas City mobsters siphoning millions in gambling revenue. 5 convictions came from the Tropicana case alone. The Godfather, that Vegas casino Michael Corleone takes over, filmed at the Tropicana. This wasn't just a hotel, it was a crime scene, a movie set, a monument to Vegas's dangerous, beautiful past. And for 50 years, the Tropicana was home to the longest running show in Las Vegas history, Foley's Bergère, a topless French revue that opened in 1959 and didn't close until 2009. 50 years, same show, same feathers, same sequins, same gasps from tourists who couldn't believe what they were seeing. Your grandfather might have seen that show, your great-grandfather definitely did, but by 2024, the Tropicana was tired, the rooms were outdated, the carpet was worn, the whole property felt like a time capsule that nobody wanted to open anymore. It closed on April 2nd, 2024, and on that final day, I found a story that broke me. Joe Zapula, a guy from New Jersey, he was there on closing day, and a reporter caught him walking out of the casino, tears streaming down his face. He said, "Old Vegas, it's going." 3 words, Old Vegas, it's going. He wasn't crying about a building, he was crying about an era, about a version of Las Vegas that existed before the corporations took over, before the algorithms, before the dynamic pricing and the resort fees and the $15 parking. A Vegas where a guy from Jersey could walk into a casino and feel like he owned the place, even if he was down to his last 20 bucks. That Vegas died on October 9th, 2024 at 2:30 in the morning in 22 seconds. And what's replacing it? A baseball stadium for the Oakland A's, a team that got chased out of California and promised Las Vegas a 33,000 seat ballpark by 2028. Promised. Here's the thing though, as of right now, there's no confirmed financing, no groundbreaking ceremony, no construction crews, just a pile of rubble where the Tropicana used to be. And a lot of press releases that don't include dollar amounts. The A's say it's happening. Bally's Corporation says it's happening. Everyone says it's happening. But I've covered Vegas long enough to know that promises don't mean anything until the concrete is poured. And right now, that site is just dirt. Dirt and memories and the ghost of Frank Costello's earnings report. The Tropicana was the last true mob-built casino on the Las Vegas Strip. The final physical connection to an era when Vegas was dangerous and glamorous and completely out of control. Now it's gone, and the only casino left from that era is the Flamingo. But here's the thing about the Flamingo, the original structure, the one Bugsy Siegel built in 1946, that's been demolished too. What stands there now was completely rebuilt in the 1990s. The Flamingo is a name, a brand, a legacy, but it's not the original building. The bricks Bugsy touched are long gone, which means the Tropicana implosion didn't just destroy a casino, it destroyed the last physical artifact of mob-era Las Vegas. Every other building from that time imploded, demolished, replaced. The Stardust, gone. The Riviera, gone. The Dunes, gone. The Sands, gone. And now, the Tropicana. Old Vegas isn't going. Old Vegas is gone, but our number one entry, it wasn't about the past, it was about the future. It was the building that created modern Las Vegas, the resort that proved you could build something so spectacular, so audacious, so completely over the top, that people would fly across oceans just to see it. And when it closed, 127 employees who had been there since opening day in 1989 watched the only professional home they'd ever known go dark. Number 1, the Mirage. December 1989. Ronald Reagan had just left office. The Berlin Wall had just fallen. Taylor Swift wasn't born yet. And Steve Wynn, a casino developer with a vision that everyone called crazy, opened the most expensive hotel ever built. $630 million. In 1989 money. Adjusted for inflation, that's nearly $1.5 billion today. And what did he build? Not another casino, not another hotel, a destination. 3,044 rooms, a tropical atrium with over 100 species of live plants, a 20,000-gallon saltwater aquarium behind the check-in desk, white tigers in a habitat steps from the gaming floor, dolphins playing in pools outside, and in front of it all, an erupting volcano that stopped traffic every single night. Steve Wynn didn't just build a hotel, he invented the modern Las Vegas Strip. Before the Mirage, Vegas was about gambling, period. You came to play cards and slots and craps. The hotels were afterthoughts, places to sleep between sessions. After the Mirage, Vegas was about experience, about spectacle, about walking into a building and feeling like you'd been transported to another world. The Mirage made Vegas a family destination. It made Vegas a honeymoon destination. It made Vegas a bucket list destination for people who'd never gambled in their lives. And it sparked a building boom that transformed the entire city. Think about what came after the Mirage opened. Excalibur in 1990, Luxor in 1993, Treasure Island in 1993, MGM Grand in 1993, New York, New York in 1997, Bellagio in 1998, Mandalay Bay in 1999, Venetian in 1999, Paris in 1999. All of them, every single one, built because the Mirage proved it could work, because Steve Wynn showed the world that people would pay premium prices for premium experiences. Wall Street poured money into Vegas after the Mirage. Bonds funded resort after resort. The skyline transformed in a single decade. Everything you think of when you picture the Las Vegas Strip, the mega resorts, the themed attractions, the celebrity restaurants and cirque shows and nightclubs where bottles cost more than cars. It all traces back to one building, one vision, one crazy expensive bet that paid off beyond anyone's imagination. And on July 17th, 2024, the Mirage closed forever. Hard Rock International bought it for $1.08 billion in December 2022, and they announced almost immediately that the Mirage as we knew it would cease to exist. New name, new brand, new everything. The closing ceremony drew hundreds of people, employees, locals, tourists who'd rearranged their trips just to be there for the end. Joe Lupo, the property president, addressed the crowd, and standing with him were 127 employees who had worked at the Mirage since December 1989. 127 people, 35 years, same building, same job, their entire adult careers spent inside those walls. Housekeepers who'd cleaned the same rooms for 3 decades, dealers who'd worked the same tables since Bush Sr. was president, bartenders who'd poured drinks for guests whose children were now bringing their own children. That's not a job, that's a life, that's an identity. And on July 17th, they watched it end. The ceremony concluded the only way it could. One last volcano eruption, fire rising into the night sky, the drums pounding, the crowd crying, and then darkness. Jim Allen, the head of Hard Rock, told reporters that demolition would begin the next day, and it did. By August, the volcano was rubble. By fall, the atrium was gutted, the palm trees removed, the aquarium drained, the pina colada scent that greeted every guest for 35 years gone from the ventilation system. The Mirage reopens as Hard Rock Las Vegas in 2027. A guitar-shaped tower where the volcano stood, completely renovated rooms, a whole new identity. I'm sure it'll be successful. Hard Rock knows what they're doing. The brand is strong, the location is unbeatable, but it won't be the Mirage. It won't be the building that changed everything. The resort that proved Vegas could be more than slot machines and cheap buffets. The place where Steve Wynn's impossible dream became reality. Michael Green is a history professor at UNLV. His father dealt blackjack for decades at casinos up and down the strip. He's watched this city transform his entire life. And when asked about the Mirage closing, he said something that I think summarizes everything. He said, "Las Vegas always reinvents itself. The Mirage is no longer state of the art." And he's right. He's absolutely right. Vegas does reinvent itself constantly, relentlessly. The city has never been sentimental. Buildings fall, new ones rise. That's the cycle. That's always been the cycle. But here's what keeps me up at night. What are we reinventing into? The Tropicana, replaced by a baseball stadium that might never get built. The Mirage, replaced by a guitar-shaped tower and a corporate brand. The buffets, replaced by fast casual food halls. The volcano, replaced by another photo opportunity for influencers. Every reinvention takes something away. Every upgrade erases a memory. Every shiny new tower casts a shadow over the places that made you fall in love with this city in the first place. They'll tell you it's progress. They'll tell you it's evolution. They'll tell you the new Vegas is better than the old Vegas. But here's what they won't tell you. Every time a volcano goes dark, every time a buffet closes, every time a show takes its final bow, every time a casino implodes in 22 seconds, a piece of the Vegas you fell in love with dies too. And that piece, it's not coming back. So here's my question for you. What Vegas memory are you afraid of losing next? Is it a restaurant, a show, a casino where you got lucky once, a hotel where you spent your honeymoon? Whatever it is. Don't wait. Don't tell yourself you'll do it next trip. Don't assume it'll be there when you finally get around to it. Don't take any of it for granted, because if the last few years have taught us anything, it's that Vegas moves fast. Faster than memories, faster than nostalgia, faster than love. The Tropicana is gone. The Mirage is gone. The Beatles Love is gone. The volcano is gone. The dolphins are gone. The buffets are disappearing one by one. And whatever you're waiting to see, whatever you keep telling yourself you'll experience someday might not exist. Drop your Vegas memories in the comments. Tell me what you miss. Tell me what you're afraid of losing. Tell me the moment that made you fall in love with this city. Subscribe if you want more countdowns like this. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss when I cover what's vanishing in 2026. And share this video with someone who needs to book that flight before it's too late, because Vegas doesn't wait. Vegas doesn't care about your schedule. Vegas doesn't owe you another chance. Vegas moves on, whether you're ready or not. I'll leave you with the last thing Joe Lupo said before the Mirage went dark. He looked at the crowd. He looked at those 127 employees who'd given 3 decades of their lives to that building, and he asked a question. What would the Mirage be without one last volcano eruption? Then he pushed the button, and the fire rose one last time.